In this video, I will be reviewing the Milliard memory foam seat cushion specifically used on this, the Aeron Classic size C. I'll also be weighing in on the size B and the size A based on published dimensions, and you should also know that this seat portion is identical between the Classic and the Remastered. Specifically, I'm going to be evaluating this cushion across 5 dimensions: the fit on the Aeron, the comfort, the quality, the look, and the noise, because it turns out some of these cushions are kind of noisy when you sit on them. And overall, just to cut to the chase, I think this is a very special cushion. It's not really a looker, but it was my recommendation for a budget, comfortable seat cushion. At $25, you can't beat it for comfort. And as long as you don't have any issues with heat, I think you would be pleased with how this cushion feels. You may not like some other aspects of the cushion, but if you're just shopping on comfort and price, this is a great option. I'll get into more details in the video about how it performed across these different criteria and also some other alternatives you could consider. So the Milliard memory foam is a pretty good fit on the Aeron C. The biggest issue is it's about 4 inches short of this line, but the width, as you can see, looks really good in the front and even in the rear. So it's a pretty good fit for the Aeron C, and I'm going to give it a B. On the Aeron B, the fit is better in some ways, but not all. It's about 2.5 inches now from the front, and we are hanging over a little bit on the front width, and we're about 1 3/8 inch between the two sides. I'm having to hold it because it's going to slide down, but that could be a little bit of an issue, but I think overall I give it a B for fit on the Aeron B. And on the Aeron A, it's going to start to look like this. So the front is going to be pretty good. You're going to be just a little bit short still, 1.25 inches, but you're going to be hanging over quite a bit here in the front. You're going to be 2 5/8 too wide. So overall, I'm a little concerned about this and the fit on the Aeron A. I'm going to give it a D+. The Milliard memory foam cushion, I think, looks all right. I think the fit helps on the Aeron C, the width being what it is. And I think the color of the black is nice, matches the headrest well. I'd say the biggest thing holding it back for me is it's really blocky. Like, it just looks like you put a brick on top of your chair. So if you can get past that and that doesn't really bother you, I think it's a pretty good looking cushion. But for me, I think, it could be better, and I give it a C overall. So looking at the quality of the Milliard memory foam cushion, it's good, not perfect. So I would point out that the fabric on the top is a lot like the Strata and the Travel Mate. I wouldn't really ding it compared to those two. I think it's pretty much the same. Fabric on the bottom is a little flimsier than some of the others. And the zipper, I was quite concerned about. It's really, really tiny. And just opening it one time, I was genuinely a little nervous about breaking it. But you can kind of see it's a little bit flimsy on the bottom. And when you take out the memory foam, it's just a brick. Like, I think in terms of quality, it would have been higher quality if they had done a little bit of contouring it and like thinking about the shape of someone's actual legs. But to me, they just cut it with square edges, sharp corners. And the amazing thing about memory foam is that it doesn't really seem to matter that much. But in terms of quality, like, this is the real memory foam. It really does have a longer memory than the other foam cushions I've tried. There might be better stuff out there in the market, but out of the ones I tested, this is the one that had the most memory for me, and that, I think, does score it some points in terms of quality. So I would say also that, the stitching here was all right. I didn't find loose threads, so it wasn't the worst case. But if you do get this cushion, I would recommend not taking it out of the case very much, because I think this zipper is doing hero's work holding in this big brick of memory foam, and I wouldn't count on it forever. Let's try out the Milliard memory foam. So this is a really comfortable cushion. I have to admit that I had to check my biases a little bit about this cushion because looking at it, it just looked like a brick, and I just wasn't open-minded at first, but I gave it many hours of sitting just to really make sure I gave it a fair shake and was honestly evaluating the comfort. And you know, the thing about this cushion is it's real memory foam. Like, it's got a long memory. I'll show you in a minute, but I'm still sinking into this cushion right now. And it's going to be a lot flatter by the time I'm done than when I first sat in it. And I think that's a really good thing, actually, because what happens is it really compresses more, and then the pressure coming back at you is really a lot more even. You're not feeling any, even though there's a hard corner in the front, I don't, for example, really feel pressure in the front from that corner. So it's a really comfortable option. I think a couple things to be aware of. I think number one is that this will probably be the warmest of the cushions. So I did experience a little bit of warmth. The weather here has been really nice. It hasn't been too warm, so it didn't bother me. But I think if you're concerned about warmth, this would probably be the worst one for you. But if you know and have used memory foam and you like memory foam, I can verify it's really comfortable. It was the second most comfortable cushion for me overall in all of my testing, which is pretty amazing given the price. So I'm going to give it a B+ for comfort. I don't think it's perfect, particularly the heat issues. I'm sure if they had crafted the shape a little bit better, it would be even more comfortable. But I think this is a really good option. And I'm just going to get up and sort of let you take a look at this shape, but I mean, it's been totally mashed. And I think that's a good thing. Let's see if the Milliard memory foam makes any noise. So it's really not bad. It's not totally silent. I think there's a sound like air whooshing. I don't know where it's coming from, to be honest. And I have heard it do a little bit of a squeak from time to time. I think from the rubberized bottom touching the chair, I suppose. So I wouldn't let that discourage you. I give it a B- for noise. It's not totally silent, but it's nothing you'll be embarrassed about. So there you have it, the Milliard memory foam. This is a pretty special cushion. I think it's special because it's just so cheap and so comfortable. It's got that real memory foam stuff. And I was, had to really suspend disbelief to give this one a fair shake. But when I gave it a fair shake, I have to admit it's very, very comfortable. So I can definitely recommend this as my top pick for a budget, ultra comfortable seat cushion at $25. I think that the main reasons to think about something else would be, if money is no object, I would recommend the Strata Mesh, which is the cushion I'm keeping, which is closer to 120, 150 shipped, which seems crazy. It probably is crazy, but how much I sit on the chair, I wanted what was the most comfortable for me. And that was the Strata Mesh ultimately, just by a hair over the Milliard memory foam. I think the other reason you might consider something else is if you don't like memory foam and you're worried about heat, you might want a more ventilated model. And so the top of the line ventilated model, most comfortable ventilated model, is the Purple Double. I tried 6 different ventilated models. That was the one for me. If you want a budget ventilated model, then I'm going to recommend a generic from Amazon called the Tomite. So you'll find links to learn more about those other cushion options in the description. But again, if you were thinking about the Milliard memory foam cushion because you were looking for a budget memory foam option, you wanted it to be comfortable, you're right. Milliard memory foam is a budget, comfortable option. And I don't think you will be disappointed. as long as you go into it eyes open about it being a brick of foam and not necessarily the finest craftsmanship, it does do the job, and I think you could be happy with it. So I hope you found this helpful. For what it's worth, the final grades on this guy were a B for the Aeron C, a B for the Aeron B, and a B- for the Aeron A due to the differences in fit. This was a very high performing cushion overall.